Hello everyone, and welcome to the tavern. Here's something I knew would happen eventually. I'm talking about Games Workshop. Now, for those who may have watched more of my videos, you know that I have referenced 40k in the past, especially my Mechanicus jokes in the Witch from Mercury videos. This is not your usual 40k video because we're going to talk about something that's a little bit boring, but really important. Distribution. Yes, Games Workshop is changing their distribution system, and this will have a huge impact on game stores and players. But first, let's talk about why they decided to change the distribution system. The first thing to keep in mind is that there is a major scalper problem when it comes to 40k, and probably a few other Games Workshop products. The secondary market is brutal on players because they will jack up the prices on the harder to find items, especially limited items. Because yes, Games Workshop of course does the limited items, and these things are in high demand and short supply, so obviously the secondary market will charge crazy numbers for these items, and odds are you won't find them at your local game store or anything like that. So unless you're at the special event or ordered it when it was first brought out on the Games Workshop website, you will probably miss out on these items or have to pay those horrible scalper prices. Now, the other issue, of course, that's been causing problems for Games Workshop is a supply issue. For those familiar with my channel, I have talked about how Bandai had issues with Gunpla distribution because they were running low on plastic due to the pandemic era, and Hasbro has used this as an excuse for raising the price of their toys. Well, Games Workshop has not only used this as an excuse for raising prices, but also why there's such a small supply of certain sets. Whether it's true or not, especially now that enough time has passed and we're getting a little more normalized in terms of supply lines, I don't know, but prices aren't going to go down anytime soon. Inflation will see to that. Now that brings us to the actual problem of the distribution system. The original distribution system, as I understand it, was relatively simple. Games Workshop would contact stores and say, these are the new products coming out, what ones do you want? Stores would then pre-order, then shortly thereafter, the product would be shown to the public and pre-orders would start at the Games Workshop web store. Then they would send out product to the various stores who pre-ordered stuff, and then they would get to the pre-orders of the regular people. So some people might get their sets or books quite a bit later than they would if they just went and bought it at their local store, which meant that a lot of people didn't use the Game Workshop website as much because they'd rather just use their local store, and the Games Workshop web store became more for people who don't have a good local store. Now, the new distribution system is a lot more complicated. First, they will contact the game stores like they did before, but instead of giving them an order sheet, it will be a wish list sheet. So they will put the numbers they would like of the various items that are available. They only have 2 days to do this and send it back, which means there are probably some stores who might miss out on the deadline. After that, a Games Workshop employee will call the various game stores and discuss what numbers they can give them. After that, the product is shown off as it was before and becomes available for pre-order at the Games Workshop store. Depending on what the pre-orders are, they will then call game stores again to discuss the potential purchasing of more product. This is a very complicated system that will end up falling apart. Games Workshop has set up a system that will hurt game stores. Not only can they not order the amount they need, but then getting more product requires luck. Not only that, but Games Workshop can show bias towards game stores they have a better relationship with, or are larger game stores with higher sales numbers. Either way, this will still cause problems. Now, it's obvious that Games Workshop doesn't care about the game stores. The only store that Games Workshop cares about is their online store. They're looking to have everyone buy from them directly. And when you do this to stores, they're going to have, well, openings on those shelves. And those openings might go to other products, which is good for smaller brands that might want to get their miniatures or their books or what have you out there to more players. Which means, yes, this will end up hurting Games Workshop in the long run because they will likely be selling less product. Warhammer fans are not the most loyal. I know what you're thinking. That's a mean thing to say about Warhammer fans. But I will point out that Warhammer fans have gotten in fights with Games Workshop on many, many occasions. There have been many boycotts numerous times. Not only that, But a few years ago, when Games Workshop pissed off enough of the people who were playing Warhammer, they jumped into Battletech. And thank you for that, by the way. You've helped my game become more popular. And if you are one of those people, rock on. Glad to have you in the regiment. Getting back to topic, brand loyalty is not a bad thing. However, if a brand treats you like garbage, it is the customer's duty to stand up for themselves and tell that company off. Warhammer fans are very good at that. They are loyal, but they aren't so loyal that they just keep buying product like a drone. They make their voices heard, and that's one of the things I really respect about Warhammer players. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't Games Workshop players who will literally order what they have to from Games Workshop directly. Those will always exist. There are always going to be the hardcore fans. But there's others who might say, I got a good set already, I don't need orcs with new hats. And of course, those who will literally say, well, I'm done buying Games Workshop stuff if this is how they're going to treat my local game store. But either way, all these things add up to Games Workshop probably losing sales overall. Then you add in the fact that they have the phone call system, which is going to be a massive pain. It's not like they have 10 stores that are going to send in order sheets. It's going to be hundreds, if not thousands of stores. That's a lot of people to call back. And then you have to deal with things like time zones and operating hours and God knows what else, which is going to be a huge hassle on the side of Games Workshop. I don't know how they thought that this was a good idea, but boy, is this going to bite them in the backside, because there is no way that this will ever work out for higher sales. This is only just going to piss off players, stores, and eventually executives at Games Workshop. I wouldn't be surprised if this whole system is shut down within a year and a half, because it's going to be such a hassle and sales will go down and they will do something to make up for it. So I hope I've been clear on what's going on with the new distribution system. And to be clear, this isn't just 40k. This is Warhammer Fantasy, 40k, and all other GW products. You're an Age of Sigmar player, this affects you. If you're a Blood Bowl player, this affects you. Everything is affected. That means all stores that carry GW products will be affected. And of course, the players will be affected. If you are a player of any of the Games Workshop titles, let me know in the comments what you think about this. As I say every time I do a video about the tabletop world and the drama that we, the players, must deal with, fight the good fight. Support your local game store, and until next time, I'll see you at the tavern.